I'm Chris. Let's get started. All right, so we head over to our Classic Warrior Horses site, which is over here. Okay, and we're on our Classic Warrior Horses site. Now, a lot of the warrior horses are American-based, of course, so a lot of them are celebrated Thanksgiving. Because, I mean, the pool blood of enemies is like so much cranberry sauce, and, the tears of the fallen, they flow like gravy on the mashed potatoes of their victory. And, like most Americans, this is the one day a year that Americans can overeat, and so the horses are largely indulging in that. But for now, we're going to just take a look at a quick format. They've got this nice little secret passwords list up here. And so what we're going to want to do is head over there. And, wait a second. What is this? What is this turkey? Some kind of takeover of the horses site. So maybe we'll skip the format of the passwords and, maybe storing passwords in a SharePoint list maybe isn't our best plan anyway. So let's head on over to our Gobble site and let's just refresh that and get rid of all that threatening stuff. Now, we have been to the turkey site a couple years ago on Thanksgiving. And when we were there, right, we saw the turkeys helped us build this lovely video viewer using only list formatting, right? And it was wonderful. We can hear 10 hours of turkey gobble anytime we want, and so on. And that's really cool. Well, turns out the turkeys have just handed me a script, and they wanted me to demo some other things here. So they have this nice list called facts, right? So in it, they have placed a series of turkey facts. These facts come directly if you Google turkeys in Bing. These are the facts. So very exciting. Did I just say Google in Bing? I sure did. Happy Thanksgiving. All right. Well, let's take a look at something we could do with this. I mean, this is lovely, but they want to make this a little more interactive, right? So the first thing we'll do, let's take a look at some of the new things we do. We'll just call this whatever, because we're not really going to use this too much. Whatever. There we go. We're going to save that. And the whole idea is we just want a column we can format just so we can see things as they go. Let's zoom that slightly. There we go. And let's go to advanced mode so we can write our JSON directly. Let's make that a little bigger. And now all we're going to do is we're going to make sure we have our code over on the other screen so I don't mess up here. All right, we're going to say Elm type. All right, and we're going to say it's a div. And we're going to wish that didn't happen as well. And then we're going to try and format that again. I've had some weird things with my keyboard. I don't know if anyone's having this on these format things in this little Monaco editor. So we'll just forget that for now and hope. No, we will not. All right, let me try one thing here. I'm going to just turn this on. I normally turn that off for the demo, but let's turn it on for now just so we can see if we can actually write our formats. All right, even with that not on, let's see if we get Helm type div. All right. I'm not sure what difference that just made, but we'll figure it out in a little bit here. But the idea is if we wanted text, right? So we just want to display something. We're going to put, turkeys, right? And the idea here is if we do that, we have this lovely text in every line here. We've written turkeys inside a div. So we're generating the HTML div, and we're putting the text inside it of turkeys. That's very exciting. But let's see if we can try something else. Now, some of you may have seen this lovely guy before. So @now is the time at render in the local time zone of the user. So Eastern time zone here in the United States for me. And you can see that's pretty cool. And they're all the same pretty much because they're all rendered about the same time in terms of seconds. But what we may not realize is that if we wrap this in a number like this, and let's make sure we put it equal since we're now doing an expression, and preview that, what we're actually seeing there is the number of milliseconds since 1970 or something along those lines, right? Now, what is interesting is that although things render very, very fast, you can see there is actually a render time difference between rows. All right, so even though this is rendering very, very quickly, because that's milliseconds, that changes. Well, that opens up some very interesting possibilities for us. Right, so how can we use this? Well, glad you asked, right? So one of the things we could do is we could use this. First off, let's make this a little bigger so we can see that. So let's add style and let's add that. Let's go just font size. I'm just going to make this way bigger. We'll say, I don't know, 44 pixels. That sounds very exciting. Woo, it's huge. Now you can see that a little bit. But the idea here is if we say that, right, and we could say modular, right, by 2. So modular is just going to tell us what's the remainder after we divide this by 2. In this case, we're going to say it's either 0 or 1, right? Because those are really the only two options. So if we preview that, we can see we get 0 and 1, but if we save, so we can keep rendering it, you'll notice we essentially have a random value, right, between 0 and 1. Now that's cool, right? So how can we use that? So the traditional kind of randomized way to write this is you would, if you wanted to do like a range, right? So say we wanted to do between, let's see, 0 and or 5 and 10, right? So we would want to put our min, and we would add that, and then we would say instead of modular by 10. Sorry, I've got someone knocking on the door here. I'm trying to ignore my children. So instead, we would modular that by our maximum value plus 1 minus our min value. Now, that is pseudo. That doesn't actually do anything. So in this case, we're just going to replace those. So if we wanted a value between 5 and 10, right, we'd say 5 here, and we put 10 here. And now we should have any values between 5 and 10. All right, there we go. Beautiful. So that's a cool way to do that. So now we've got this idea of random stuff, right? So how can we use that in formatting as of any practical use? Well, yes-ish. How's that sound? So one of the things we can do is we can wrap this up. So let's get rid of text. And so instead of text, let's actually make this an icon. All right, so let's do attributes. And we're going to say icon name. And we're just going to put the same kind of formula here. But in this case, we're going to say equals if, and we're going to say that same thing, number at now. And we don't really care about the range this time, so we're just going to say between 5 different things. And we're saying when that equals 0, why don't we do an icon of flower? That sounds nice, right? And then otherwise, why don't we do an icon of balloons? There we go, and we'll close that up. And so we can see that now we're largely going to get balloons, right? Because we've only given one case where we want to do flower. Now, if we expand that out a little further, we can just kind of keep cutting and pasting. So if we grab this if, and we grab all the way up to there, we copy that. We're just going to paste that in again. And let's make sure we add our closing item here. And so instead of flower now, let's type guitar. That sounds exciting. All right, so we've got a guitar. And now if we preview, let's change this to a 1. So the idea is now we've got a guitar that's showing up in the mix sometimes, right, with our flower and our balloons. And we can keep going out a little further. I'm just going to cut and paste for time the rest of this exciting formula. So you can see it's just extended it out. Now we have this idea of it can be a flower, a guitar, a shirt, or even an Xbox controller. Or in the case where it's a 4, which you're not seeing here, that's the else, it's balloons. So if we save that, hey, that's pretty cool. And we can even go a little further, right? So we can add a class, right? So if we want to set some colors here, I'm just going to take the exact type of thing here, and I'm going to place it up above it. All right, let's put it right here. Let's put class, and let's preview that. Now we've got this idea of colors that kind of get applied. Now you'll notice it's not common, but it's not exact, right? Because this isn't a true variable, right? We're not storing this and then evaluating it each time. It's being evaluated each time, and so it is possible, although it's pretty unlikely for my testing, that the milliseconds will change in between these. It still creates it pretty random, but if you're trying to coordinate randoms like colors with icons, that's going to get pretty difficult. Okay, and in that case, what you would want to do is randomize some of the display and some of the other items with these as a whole. Okay, so that's cool, neat, right? So what else can we do, right? So we can do this, we can show random things, we can kind of make our formats a little more dynamic when they get refreshed on the page. That's pretty neat. So let's just save that. But what about, we want to use this a little further, right? So the turkeys have gone through, they already recognized this was pretty ugly, right? They want to make sure they really emphasize things like their distinctive fleshy waddle. And so to do that, we're going to switch over to this fact list where they've applied a format already. Now this is a view format. And all it's doing is showing everything kind of like a card view, right? So, and there's a reason we didn't use the gallery view. Let's come back to that in a minute. But if we format that, and let's make this a little bigger so we can see, right? All this is it's just got a big box with some rounding, and then it's got, you know, a box for the image and a box for the title and a box for the details. So there's not a lot going on here. What we're going to do is we're going to take advantage of the fact that we've hidden the selection. That's going to be really key for this. And taking advantage of the fact that this is something we can't do in the gallery view because they are wrapped in a wrapper around them, but here we're not. And that's all we got to do is we add this right here. We're going to say position is absolute. All right, and we'll do that. Preview it. They all get stacked up on top of each other. So now we've got essentially one card displaying, and it's always the last item in the list. Because all the other ones have been rendered underneath it, they're all drawn in the exact same spot. And, you know, that's an interesting idea, but why don't we say, you know, a little something else here, which would be our Z index. So Z index controls the layering, so the stacking of items in HTML, right? What goes on top of each other. And in this case, if we wanted to kind of randomize this, right? So we just want to do our Z index, and we're going to say equals, and we're going to do our number. I'm going to say that at now again. In this case, we're just going to modulate by 7, since that's the total number of items we have in the list. And let's save that. And look at that. We now have a randomly picked one showing up. So how does that help us, right? Well, it appears to be largely the last one there. Either way, so let's save that. It's saved. If we go over to our main page here, the turkeys, that is not the main page. Let's go back to our main turkey page. There we go. Gobble page. The turkeys have prepared a lovely article, and it's fine, right? It's got, you know, it's got charts, it's got quotes, it's got bullet points. I mean, everything you'd want in an article. Except what it doesn't have is beautiful turkey facts. So if we edit this page, and we come up here, we're going to add a section, and we're just kind of a nice vertical section over there on the right. And we're going to add ourselves the list, and we're going to grab that facts list. And here we're going to edit that so we can, let's get rid of the command bar, let's get rid of the see all, let's go to that medium, that sounds good, and our view is going to be that fact. All right, if we apply, we get our facts here, and let's republish. Should see, there you go. Now whenever we visit this article, in addition to all our wonderful gobbledygoodness, right, we have this idea of a randomly generated fact showing up. It's not randomly generated, randomly showing fact. All right, so now we can see all sorts of really cool things here. So the turkeys love it. You can love it too. There's all sorts of different ways to use this. And let's just quickly review. All right, so just keep in mind, this is the formula. So this is really all you need to get that kind of random seed value. And then to use it, you could use this modular to kind of customize what that range is going to be. So this is the formula if you're trying to use kind of a custom range. You can leave it like this, 10 plus 5 minus, 10 plus 1 minus 5, or you can just do the math and leave it as 6. I find it's easier to leave it this way. It doesn't really add any overhead if you're trying to set that range up. All right, but that's what we can do since we don't have a randomized function. And this sample is available as the random item sample under view samples. So check it out. That's all I got. Happy Thanksgiving.
Awesome. Very, very cool, Chris. Always entertaining. Thank you for all of the amazing list formatting.